Start this off by saying Happy Valentine's Day to my kiddos. Want them to know that Daddy loves and misses you. And no matter what we go through, that in the end, everything's going to be alright. And that this right here is just a little bit of a speed bump for us right now. And that I wish everybody understood exactly what was going on. And by the time I'm done with this, I'm sure everybody will have a better understanding. To everybody else out there, I have quite a bit to share with you today. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, to those who have loved ones that they get to share it with. All I can say is cherish that with all your heart, because some of us go through stuff that no one else could imagine, and those special things you should hold on to with everything you can. I'm going to start off by sharing a very powerful Bible verse that is really something else, and it really speaks out. It's Romans chapter 12, verses 17 through 21. Never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. Dear friends, never take revenge. Leave that to the righteous anger of God. For the scripture says, I will take revenge. I will pay them back, says the Lord. Instead, if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals of shame on their heads. Don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good. So, with that, as I go through the stages of everything right now, I have tried to overcome a mountain of corruption that I never thought I would see in my life, in a system that is broken to its core. And I was once again proving that today, because today I sat down and I went to go do my taxes. And in doing so, this stuff with my schooling came back up, of course, because I went to go file and everything. And in the process, the story came back up with everything, because the lady started asking me about school, and she shared a very interesting story with me. The same school that I went to, that a lot of you have seen what had happened, and a lot of you don't understand what had happened. Let me share a little quick, brief summary of what had happened. It all began around mid-September of last year. I was sitting at home getting ready to cook dinner for my children when I started receiving messages from a number I didn't recognize. And in the process, this number was telling me to send pictures of my financial aid, get on my FAFSA, go ahead and finish it up, screenshot everything, and in the process, send that screenshot to this person because they're on the line with the third party and they could go ahead and get my money. Now, it wasn't no small amount of money, folks. This was $9,605 that they were trying to get a hold of. Now, for about 15-20 minutes straight, they kept on sending these messages, and at first I started ignoring them, thinking it was some, bogus crap, because, like I said, it was not a number I recognized at all. Finally, I responded by saying, I'm sorry, I don't know who this is, and I'm not comfortable with sharing anything in my federal stuff over the phone or sending it, through a text. In that process, well, the thing is, and if I get in trouble for talking about this, and it is what it is at this point, because it's just corrupt as all get out. I had no idea who this person was, and come to find out it was the owner and operator of Ponca City Beauty College, Buffy Lehman. So in that process, I was sitting here and I said, okay, well, I'm not going to go ahead and do this at this time. I can do it when I get to school tomorrow. Why I need to do this in the middle of the night and while you're on the line with the third party, it really didn't make sense to me. It honestly made me feel uneasy about the whole situation. So I went ahead and waited till the next day, and sure enough, first thing they had me do it and send it to them so they could get that money coming. Now, when they started getting that money coming, all of a sudden, there's some pretty sketchy stuff going on. And I can remember the dates pretty darn well. Because that money, I tracked it because I knew that I would be getting my federal grants and everything coming in. And when you're raising 4 little kids on your own, that money makes something to you. When you're living paycheck to paycheck and trying to survive, that money is important. Well, I realized that on September 20th, my money went into their account. So went back to school on September 23rd. I'm cutting an older gentleman's hair, and the barber next to me was cutting a little boy's hair with his grandma. We both finished about the same time, and in the process, when we were cleaning up, all of a sudden the barber next to me says, "You got something to say to me, Josh?" No, what would I have to say to you? I really honestly didn't talk to people that much when I was going to school. I was pretty quiet and kept to myself. Never had a problem at the school before at all. Continued to clean up my area and my station. About 2 minutes. "You got something to say to me, Josh?" "No, I'm sorry. I don't know what am I supposed to have something to say to you." Turned back around, and then she said, and this at the time is why my instructor is standing less than 10 feet away from me with her back turned. And this new instructor, I was told she's been to prison and she don't take nothing. And I don't know why it was very important for Buffy to tell me that my instructor had been to prison and that she's a tough badass and everything else, because come to find out the same instructor had went to prison for embezzling from Ponca City Beauty College, and now she's back working for the school again. Why would you have somebody who embezzled from you work for you again? To this day, I still can't figure it out, but I'm starting to recognize why it might be an issue at this time. Because in that process, that instructor ignored everything going on, to the point where the other barber was telling me, "Well, you better keep my name out of your mouth. You ain't shit. You old piece of crap. You're out on my level," all kinds of stuff. In the process, I told her, "Look, we're not on the same level. You're right. Get away from me now. I'm not going to, I don't need to listen to this." So she walked away, I walked away, and around lunchtime I went ahead, and she actually went and left for some reason, and I didn't really say anything else to her. But I did say something to that instructor, Tina, and I said something to Buffy, and I said, "Hey, what's the deal?" I said, "What just happened right here, and what's the issue?" They said, "We don't know. We'll figure it out. No big deal. Don't worry about it. Just let it go." Okay, well, I did. Until later that day, when I usually leave about 2:30 to go pick up my youngest from pre-K, they took my card, and they took all of our cards, and they said, "You can't clock out until 3 o'clock today. We're having a problem with our system and everything else, when any other day you could just sign your name out, and you get clocked out." But that day they had signed all of us out at 3, and they took all of our cards so we couldn't swipe out. Well, in that process, I went to go swipe my card at 3 with everybody else. As I'm walking out the door to the other girls who actually are involved with this process that I'm going through right now, was holding the door open for me. As I go to walk out the door, they act like they're going to hit me in the face. And it came about that close to my face. And I turned around and I said, I don't know what the deal is today, but it's been a bit too much already, so, let's just call it good. In that process, as I was walking away from those two girls, and mind you, these two girls together they're nowhere near my size together, just put together, they're small. And I was told by these girls, "You better keep people's name out of your mouth or you're going to get your ass kicked." Now, this is coming from two small-ass girls. All I said to these girls is, that would be a bad idea. Anybody who would try to kick my ass is going to get their teeth cleaned. And I walked to my car and left. Now, I went and I called the people from the state that I worked with, and I said, "Hey, there's some crap going on, along with some other stuff that I'd already talked to them about with people, calling me and asked me about money." I told them it was making me uncomfortable, along with some stuff that I said my hours were not right at the school. So the very next day, I go into school, and I'm doing my normal, and all of a sudden, I open my book just like I do every other day, and I'm going over my razor techniques, straight razor techniques, just like this, and I can actually remember what it said on that very page of that book. It said, "Make sure to read through your chapter before you try to perform any techniques on any of the customers." But Tina comes up behind me and she says, "Josh, you can no longer read or study your book at school. You have to do that all at home from now on. That's the way it is." I said, "What? How am I not allowed to study or read my book? We're paying $20,000 to go, well, $19,000 and some change to go to this school, on top of some other stuff that I've had an issue with, the fact that probably 80% of the lights in the school don't work and all kinds of stuff that, I've kind of said something to the state about, and on top of that, it just seemed pretty off about it." So at that point, when I was told I can no longer read my book or study my book in school, I went ahead and packed up my stuff and decided, you know what, I need to talk to the people from the state about this because this is just not okay anymore. Like there's something not right. I'm getting harassed and threatened the day before that, and the next day so basically now that you got $9,600 in your bank, you're going to go ahead and try to make it as uncomfortable as possible for me because I've sat here and I've watched you do it to multiple people, and unfortunately I'm a little bit smarter than most when it comes to catching on to how people are and how their antics and how they just go about stuff. So I knew what they were trying to do. At the same time, I was paying good money. I wasn't going to just walk away from the school. I actually said something to the lady from the state about it, saying, hey, you know, at this point, I don't know if I'm actually comfortable with going back to the school at all. I said it just don't seem like it's worth it to me because I'm not getting my money's worth. She encouraged me, don't give up. Make sure you stick with it, you know. Don't walk away from it. In that same process, so I actually had my youngest get sick, and I also had going through some pain specialists, so I had to miss about 10 days. I went back on October 8th. On October 8th, when I went back, I was just basically shocked right off the bat because not only did they have a room dedicated to where you could go and sit down and study your book now, I mean, I'm talking, they just had people sitting in there reading their books, but yet a week and a half before that, I was just told that I couldn't read or study my book in class. But now that a week and a half later, all these other beauticians and everything were just sitting in here along with the barbers, the other barbers, were just sitting there and reading their books, along with one of them who tried to hit me in the face with the door and laughed about it and joked. I didn't say much about it. I just kind of kept quiet and thought, that's pretty ironic, isn't it? So I kept to myself until October 9th, when I had my lady from the state come in, 2:30 in the afternoon. She sat down with me and Buffy in her office. And she said, well, we want to go over the hours and with the money. And here's what happened. Buffy plainly said, I back up everything 2 and 3 times. I don't do anything wrong. All of my stuff's correct, and I can prove it. I said, okay. And I thanked the lady from the state. I said, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And as I walked out, Buffy said, do you have anything to say to me, Josh? I said, no, thank you. That's it. And I walked out of the office. I talked to my lady from the state. I watched her walk out to the parking lot, get in her car, and leave. Now, I turned around to give my barber bag and all my stuff. I was going to go ahead and clock out and go get my kiddo. And right when I did turn around, as that lady was leaving, right after we got out of the office, Buffy and Tina, the instructor who ignored everything from the 23rd, and who told me I could no longer read my book, was standing right behind me. Said, we need you back in the office. So what I did, I went back in the office, and right away they shut the door, and the first thing that came out of Buffy's mouth is, we have an outside source telling us you're going to blow up the school. What? And this, folks, I'll tell you right now, an outside source says that I said somebody outside the school to tell them I'm going to blow it up. I've never said anything like that. Like, it blew my mind. It's still to this day, I cannot fathom the story that she came up with. And I was kind of disgusted, aggravated, and all kinds of stuff. Along with the fact that she changed her story repeatedly, with the fact that she tried to treat me like oh my God, you're you're so scary. And I'm sitting here going, I've never had a problem with your school before. Now, I had said something to the lady from the state, and I had her checked because my hours were missing. And here's the thing, folks. In this process, I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain to you, basically, what I mean by my hours were missing. Because what had happened is the very next day, it was my son's birthday, his 8th birthday. I was sitting at Walmart, just grabbing his cake. I had an appointment for 4 o'clock to pick up my son's birthday cake at Walmart, like most of us do when we're at Ponca. We have a little custom cake made at Walmart. As I'm literally checking out in the checkout, getting his cake, I get a call from Ponca City Beauty College. And they said, hey, we have your stuff. We're going to go ahead and drop it off at the police station. Would you like to meet us there? And I said, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's my son's birthday. Just leave it up there and I'll grab it some other time. I'm not worried about it. And then they said, oh, well, actually, we have a check for you. Well, I said, well, I'm at Walmart and I'm not going to go. I don't have time right now. If you'd like to come bring it to me, that's fine. I'll be in the parking lot here in about 10 minutes. I'm checking out right now. Well, folks, they did. They came over and I told the lady, I told Jen, I said, I'm sorry, there's no ill will towards anybody or anything like that. I said, just the fact that I was told that there was no money in the first place, but now you're sitting here giving me a check, and they did. They paid me $1,008 the very next day. But what's crazy is that $1,008 came so quick because that morning I had called the state board right when they opened. Within an hour and a half of me calling and just trying to get the complaint forms is all I tried to do. Now that's just how it was. I wasn't trying to do anything but get the complaint forms offline so I could fill them out to file against Ponca City Beauty College. And within an hour and a half, I'm getting a call from Utah from Leah Longus, who is one of the heads of the state board for cosmetology for Oklahoma, while she's getting off the plane in Utah and she's at the baggage claim. First person she calls is me. Awkward is what it felt like. Because within that, from 10 to 4 o'clock, within 6 hours, somehow I was getting paid $1,008 from the school. It only took 6 hours after I had talked to Leah Longus, and Leah had called me throughout the day. And what Leah had done actually has asked me, because I was making videos, I was asking people on Facebook, like I am now, to share information with me if they had any problems with Ponca City Beauty College, or if they had problems with losing money or hours, or if they had stuff missing. If they had issues with the school, then please reach out to me and share information. And I've had a lot of you do that, and I appreciate it, because I'm telling you right now, whether they think it's going to help out or not, it's going to help out tremendously, because whether the corrupt Ponca City Police Department like Ethan Evans and them think that, oh, well, we can screw over whoever we want, it's going to be okay. Let me tell you guys something. There is somebody way up there that's looking over all of us that doesn't tolerate any of this. And as we see everything around us changing, we can see that the world was almost, in our country, was at the breaking point of going off into the deep end. And that's why I'm saying right now, not today, Satan, not today. So what you guys continue to do, it won't fly no more. Instead, what you did is that when I did this, and you guys, I'm sitting in Walmart parking lot, and this is all I did on my son's birthday now, by the way, is I went and got his birthday cake from Ponca City Walmart. They paid me $1,008. So what I did with that $1,008, I went down to my bank at Community National Bank right down the road from Walmart, turned right back around and bought my son a better gift for his birthday. Then I took him to El Patio, where most of us go to celebrate birthdays, and had a good night with my children. The very next day, October 11th, by the way, because it was right after Bash's birthday, I'm pulling up to the gas station at 2nd and Highland. I had 2 cop cars pull up behind me and my 4 children as I'm getting gas and getting drinks for them. And they're saying, oh, well, you have a no trespassing warning for Ponca City Beauty College. You have a stalking warning for Buffy Lehman and her. I'm thinking, what? What the heck are you guys talking about? Now, in the process, this is coming off of one text, by the way, where I sent a text to Buffy saying, you can watch your ass from now on, and that I will see you in court legally, and I'm going to sue you for everything you have for what you're trying to get away with. So, that one text comes to a stalking and all kinds of stuff. It's ludicrous, folks. What they're trying to get away with, what they do. And the reason I bring it up today, and the reason I'm talking to you about it now, because as I sit down and did my taxes this evening, the lady started asking me about where I went to college. And what was good, because I told her I'm no longer going to college. I stopped going back in October, and, the situation was pretty bad. And she goes, that's crazy because I just had a young lady come in here. And this, by the way, was at H&R Block. So I was like, this is pretty crazy, you know. She says, I just had a young lady from the same college. And when we pulled her federal loans up, they were negative, and they never seen anything like that. And that young lady said, yeah, that school is stealing money from people, and I'm going to sue their asses for it. So, folks, I'm not the only one. Now, I don't know who this young lady was, and she never said her, of course, with, personal information, but she shared the story with me, and I thought, that's insane. It's not stopping, and neither am I. Now, I sit here and I'll make a video, and that's all I've done this whole time. I'm not stalking anybody. I'm telling the truth. Telling the truth about Ponca City Beauty College, stealing money from folks, people like me, just ordinary folks who are trying to raise kids, trying to make a better life for themselves, and that's it. So in the process of doing that, if we call people out, these same people are going to use the police department, and the police department are going to allow it because I'm guessing people like Ethan Evans, and this is what cracks me up, because when Ethan Evans shows up to my doorstep, he almost started crying, guys. I'm not joking. He said, she had to move out of town because of you. She was so scared. Bullshit, dude. Ethan, something you don't know, brother, is she was moving out long before that. That was just pull of her bullshit story to go along with her bullshit protective order. And the only thing I ever did wrong, guys, is I didn't show up for that protective order. But with the corrupt-ass judge up there and the corrupt DA, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It's because it's what they do. So what I have to do is, of course, they force you to go above and beyond to call them out. So I have to talk to the Attorney General. I have to talk to the Judicial Board Committee. I have to turn around and talk to OSBI. I have to get the FBI involved. And unfortunately, pretty soon the news channels are going to get involved with everything. And they're not going to like it. But guess what? If they were just doing their job to begin with and being justice. If justice was ever just served in this county, if people would actually quit doing the bigotry and having a two-tier system where if we like you, we'll serve you, but if we think that, you don't deserve a fair shake, then we're going to go ahead and do everything we can to take everything away from you because that's what we're going to do. I will not stop until this county literally gets every last bit of what it deserves. And if that requires me to suffer for the next years, at this point I don't know how many. Because what I've seen in the past couple months is just horrendous and despicable. And what you people do, you should be ashamed. And I will promise you, when it's all said and done, it will come back to you tenfold, more than you could ever imagine. And if you don't think it will, the ones who are going above and beyond outside of that, who are literally doing everything they can right now with my kids to basically use them against me and everything else, look at your health. There's a reason why you're sick all the time. The reason why you're this close to not being here anymore. It's because that evil inside of you, like the scripture right here, it's eating at your soul, and it's going to get you. Because the truth will conquer all. And I believe with everything in my heart that the Lord is watching out for me and my kids, and that in the end, no matter what, you guys can call me a monster, you can call me all kinds of things. The only thing is I'm not. I've made some mistakes, and my biggest mistake is I let my children down, and I will own up to that. Because, kiddos, the only thing I should have done is I should have got away from this shithole a long time ago, and our lives would have been different. And in the end, that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's all there is to it, folks. So, for all of you out there who think or have heard stories about me or anything else. All I ever did, folks, was talk to the state about what was going on. And in the process, by the way, like I said, the $1,008 paid to me the very next day. And then that lady from the state, by the way, went back and audited Ponca City Beauty College. And when she did, guess what? I got more charges for it. And she also found 60 hours missing out of my schooling. And I got paid another $260 for it. Every time I got paid or they found a discrepancy in the school, another story was made up, another charge was brought forth, and Ponca City Police Department went along with it. I found some really good connections in the Attorney General's office, along with some other cases that they've tried to push under the door and sweep under, and they thought that they've got rid of. Well, I guess that was the unfortunate part about putting me in jail for a little bit and me getting back out, was I heard some stuff and got a hold of some people that you guys have done extremely dirty in the process, along with the fact that I heard a story again today. See, everything happens for a reason. So when people think that you're not where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be, according to Ponca City Police Department, Kay County, the judges, the district attorneys, folks, I'm still supposed to be in jail right now, but I'm not meant to be. And the only thing I do regret at this point is the fact that I'm not with my kids on Valentine's Day, or that I don't get to wake up and tell them I love them and bring them to school and everything else that I've done for the past 2 years. That's where I failed, and I promise you, kiddos, I will make it up to you in the end. In that same ordeal, folks, I will tell you one thing. I have found out that this has become and will become pretty expensive. So I will be starting a GoFundMe pretty soon to take care of this. And if there's anybody out there, especially, Lord, if you're listening, please help us with this for my children, for my family, and to stop and put an end to the corruption and just the despicable folks and the evil that sits at the top of this district and this county right now. It needs to come to an end, folks. And I hope all of you will help me out in the process, because at this point, me and my children need everything we can get. Prayers, whatever. Until next time, folks, pray for us. And just know that the truth, it's worth it. Unfortunately, a lot of us are too scared to speak up, and they think the cost is too great. For me, I could say that what I've gone through and what I've lost, it is significant. But I know that I want to teach my kids that you got to stand up for what's right in life. And as I see everything else unfold around the world, it's time. I think that there's not a lot of time left for us. You got to either choose. I don't know how many days we have left, and I got to live like everyone's my last right now. So everybody out there, if you can, I would appreciate the help. At the same time, please just pray for me and my kids. Keep your heads up, and know that doing the right thing is worth it. Godspeed.